Everything you believe about being alone with your thoughts is wrong. I need you to try something this week. Just one time. Seems simple, but I'm betting you won't do it. And the reason you won't reveals everything Blaise Pascal understood about human nature 350 years ago. Here it is, Monday night, phone off. No TV, no music, no podcast, no background noise. Just you, sitting alone in a quiet room for 30 minutes. That's it. 30 minutes of silence with yourself. Now, notice your immediate reaction. Did you just think that sounds boring? Or, I don't have time for that? Or, what's the point? That reaction, that instant resistance, is exactly what Pascal predicted, because here's what he discovered. We can't sit still, not because we're busy, not because we have important things to do, but because being alone with ourselves is terrifying. Pascal called it diversion, and he saw something nobody else was seeing in 17th century France. All the endless entertainment, the gambling, the parties, the constant busyness. None of it was actually about fun. It was flight, running from something. Running from what? From the questions that bubble up in silence. Why am I living this way? Does my job actually matter? Am I happy? What happens when I die? Questions that your Netflix queue and Instagram feed and Spotify playlist are brilliantly designed to keep you from asking. You think I'm exaggerating? Try the experiment. 5 minutes into that quiet room, you'll feel it. The anxiety, the restlessness, the overwhelming urge to check your phone. Not because something important is happening, but because silence forces you to face what you've been running from every waking moment. That's not 17th century France. That's your Tuesday night. And Pascal, the 17th century mathematician and physicist and philosopher who died at 39, somehow saw it all coming. He diagnosed our civilization before it existed, the distraction economy, the entertainment complex, the existential emptiness underneath the constant noise. He figured out what we're actually doing and why. If you're feeling uncomfortable right now, good. That discomfort means you're thinking seriously. Pascal won't let us off the hook with comfortable lies about ourselves. And that brutal honesty is exactly why he matters. Over the next several minutes, I'm going to share 10 revolutionary ideas from Pascal that explain your life with uncomfortable precision, not abstract philosophy, not dusty religious arguments, but psychological insights about how you actually live, the patterns you're caught in, the questions you avoid, the void you're trying to fill. Some of these will challenge beliefs you didn't know you had. Others will name experiences you felt, but never articulated. All of them will transform how you see yourself and the world around you. Pascal was a genius who saw what we still can't see about ourselves. Let's discover why. If you're ready to think more deeply about the thinkers who understood human nature before modern psychology existed, subscribe to this channel where we explore minds like Pascal, Augustine, and Kierkegaard. People who refuse comfortable lies. Let's start with the ideas that cut closest to home. Pascal's insights into how we lie to ourselves without even knowing it. Our first revolutionary idea. We can't sit still because we're running from ourselves. We already introduced this, but let's go deeper. Pascal wrote, all of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone. Think about it this way. Pascal saw the same pattern 350 years ago that we see today. The French aristocrats of his time were obsessed with gambling, hunting parties, constant social gatherings. He asked why? Why this desperate need for distraction? His answer, because in silence, we face our condition, our mortality, our meaninglessness, the fact that everything we're building might be pointless. These aren't thoughts you can solve. They're existential realities you can only avoid or confront. Here's what Pascal noticed that changes everything. The distraction isn't the problem. It's a symptom. Your phone addiction, your binge watching, your inability to be bored. These aren't character flaws. They're sophisticated defense mechanisms against unbearable questions. You've felt this, even if you've never named it. That Sunday evening dread, that 3 a.m. panic about your life direction. That relationship dissatisfaction despite having it all. Pascal explains why finite goods, success, pleasure, achievement, can't satisfy infinite longing. The void isn't in your circumstances. It's existential, which means rearranging your life won't fix it. The question becomes, do you keep running or do you finally sit still and face what you're running from? Now, for our second revolutionary idea, we're equally incapable of absolute certainty and total doubt. You might object, but I need evidence. I can't just accept things without proof. Pascal anticipated this exact pushback. Here's the paradox Pascal forces us to confront. You can't prove everything. At some point, you're operating on assumptions you can't verify. Even science rests on unprovable axioms. That the universe is rational, that our senses roughly correspond to reality, that the laws of nature are consistent. But equally, you can't doubt everything either. Radical skepticism is impossible to live. You assume your memories are real, that other minds exist, that you're not a brain in a vat. You have to. Pascal saw that we're trapped in this middle zone. Neither pure rationalists with absolute certainty, nor pure skeptics with total doubt. We live on faith and assumptions we can't prove, whether we admit it or not. The brutal honesty Pascal brings is this. The atheist who demands proof of God is already living on unprovable faith in reason, memory, and perception. The difference isn't between faith and reason. It's about where you place your faith. Let's be honest for a second. This makes people uncomfortable. Americans especially want clear answers. But Pascal is showing us that intellectual humility isn't weakness. It's recognizing the actual human condition. We're reasoning creatures who can't reason our way to absolute foundations. The question isn't, can I prove it? But where should I place my limited, fallible trust given that I can't prove everything? Our third revolutionary idea. We judge everything from our tiny perspective but act like we see objectively. Here's where it gets fascinating. Pascal noticed something about human perception that neuroscience confirms today. We can't escape our subjective viewpoint. You only see the world from behind your eyes, filtered through your experiences, shaped by your culture. But we constantly forget this. We say, that's ugly, not, I find that ugly given my aesthetic conditioning. We say, this is obviously right, not, this seems right from my limited vantage point. Pascal called this the tyranny of imagination. We're convinced our perspective is reality itself. Think about your last political argument. Both sides completely convinced they're seeing objective truth, both actually seeing through interpretive frameworks they're not even aware of. Pascal wouldn't let us off the hook that easily. He's saying both of you are trapped in subjective vision mistaken for objectivity. Now, Pascal wasn't a relativist. He's not saying all perspectives are equally valid. He's saying we need radical awareness of our limitation. The first step to truth is recognizing how much our truth is actually just our angle of vision. Before you dismiss this as old religious stuff, consider, how often are you certain you're right without ever questioning whether your certainty might be the problem? Revolutionary idea number 4. Our desires are infinite, but our objects are finite. And this gap destroys us. Stay with me here, because it sounds strange at first, but it explains why you're never satisfied. Pascal observed that humans have infinite desires. We always want more, better, deeper. But everything we can actually obtain is finite and limited. The job you fought for becomes routine. The relationship you dreamed about reveals flaws. The achievement you worked toward feels empty once accomplished. This isn't pessimism. It's diagnostic accuracy. Here's why this matters for your actual life, not just in theory. You keep thinking the next thing will finally satisfy you. The promotion, the house, the perfect partner. And Pascal's saying, it won't. Not because you're choosing wrong, but because finite goods can't fill infinite desire. Now, Pascal has a specific theological answer to where that infinite desire comes from. He thinks we're made for God, and only infinite good can satisfy infinite longing. You might not share that belief, but you can't deny the phenomenon he's describing. Look at your Amazon order history. your streaming watch list, your career ambitions. How much of it is trying to fill that gap? And how long does the satisfaction last? The paradox Pascal cuts through is this. We know from experience that achievement doesn't bring lasting happiness. We've seen lottery winners become miserable, celebrities overdose, billionaires divorce. But we still think, I'll be different. My success will fulfill me. Pascal's calling that delusion. The question becomes, if he's right that nothing finite satisfies, what do you do? Keep chasing? Or face that the hunger itself might be telling you something? Our fifth revolutionary idea. We're simultaneously wretched and magnificent. Let's think mathematically about this for a second. The way Pascal would. On one hand, you're a tiny organic machine on a speck of dust in an incomprehensibly vast universe that will forget you ever existed. Your lifespan is a rounding error in cosmic time. Your concerns are absurd from any distance. Everything you build turns to dust. That's the wretchedness. On the other hand, you're the only thing in the known universe that knows you're a tiny organic machine on a speck of dust. You can contemplate infinity. You can create art that moves others to tears. You can love. You can search for truth. You can choose dignity even in suffering. That's the magnificence. Pascal called humans thinking reeds, fragile, easily destroyed, but capable of thought that transcends our physical limitation. The universe can crush us without knowing, but we know we're being crushed, and that knowing is our greatness. Here's what Pascal noticed that changes everything. You can't understand humans by focusing only on one side. Pure materialists who see only the wretchedness miss our transcendent capacity. Pure romantics who see only magnificence ignore our real fragility and evil. You felt this tension your whole life. Moments when you feel cosmically significant and existentially meaningless in the same breath. Pascal's saying both are true simultaneously. The contradiction isn't a problem to solve. It's the human condition to accept. This is where it gets fascinating. Pascal's not trying to make you comfortable. He's forcing you to hold the tension. You're simultaneously nothing and everything. Animal and angel, capable of profound love and horrific cruelty. The people who can't sit with this paradox flee to simplistic stories. Either humans are basically good, which is naive, or we're just meat computers, which is reductive. Pascal's cutting to the comfortable lie that we're one or the other. We're both. And living honestly means acknowledging both. If the psychological realism is hitting home, hit like so more people discover thinkers who refuse to sugarcoat human nature. Pascal won't coddle us, and that's exactly why we need him. Now we shift from psychology to epistemology. How Pascal revolutionized thinking about belief itself. Revolutionary idea number 6, the wager. You're already betting your life on something. This is Pascal's most famous and most misunderstood idea. Let me show you why it's more radical than you think. Here's the setup. You can't prove God exists. You also can't prove God doesn't exist. You're genuinely uncertain. What should you do? Pascal says, you're already doing something. Even not deciding is a decision. You're living as if God exists or as if God doesn't. Your actual choices, how you spend time, what you pursue, what you sacrifice for, reveal the bet you're making. Now, you might object, belief can't be calculated. This is manipulative. Pascal anticipated this exact pushback. He's not saying you can force yourself to believe. He's saying, given uncertainty, how should you live? Let's think mathematically about this for a second. If God exists and you believe, you gain infinite good. If God exists and you don't believe, you lose infinite good. If God doesn't exist, the difference in finite gains or losses during life is comparatively trivial. From pure probability, betting on God's existence has infinite expected value. Betting against has at best finite value. Before you react, notice what Pascal's actually doing. He's meeting the skeptic on skeptical ground. He's not appealing to mystical experience or authority. He's saying, you demand rational calculation? Okay, let's calculate. The math favors belief. Now, Pascal knows this doesn't create faith. But it does something crucial. It shows that refusing to believe isn't more rational than believing. The person who demands proof before committing is making a bet too. They're wagering their life that God doesn't exist, or that the question doesn't matter. Here's why this matters for your actual life, not just in theory. What are you actually betting on right now? Look at your calendar, your bank account, your relationships. What implicit bet about reality do your choices reveal? Maybe you're betting that career success will fulfill you, or that pleasure is the highest good, or that nothing matters, so you might as well maximize comfort. You're wagering your one finite life on some ultimate answer. Pascal's asking, have you actually thought about whether that's a good bet? Revolutionary idea number 7. The heart has reasons that reason doesn't know. This is Pascal's second most famous line, and it's usually misunderstood as anti-intellectual emotionalism. It's not. Pascal spent his life doing mathematics and physics. He invented the calculator. He proved theorems. He wasn't some feelings over facts romantic. So what's he actually saying? Here's what Pascal noticed that changes everything. There are different kinds of knowing. Mathematical proof is one kind. But you also know that torturing children for fun is wrong. Can you prove that mathematically? No. But you know it more certainly than you know most provable theorems. You know that you love your mother. Can you demonstrate that in a lab? Quantify it? Derive it from axioms? No. But you know it. Pascal calls this knowledge of the heart, not emotional impulse, but intuitive grasp of truth that doesn't come through geometric demonstration. Moral knowledge, aesthetic knowledge, existential knowledge. The brutal honesty Pascal brings is this. Rationalists who demand everything be provable are cutting themselves off from most of what we actually know. Love, beauty, meaning, goodness. None of these come through syllogisms, but they're not therefore unreal. Stay with me here, because this sounds strange at first, but it's crucial. Pascal's not anti-reason. He's expanding our understanding of knowing beyond just one method. The heart's reasons are still reasons. They're just a different kind of rational apprehension. Think about it this way. You didn't prove your best friend was trustworthy before trusting them. You apprehended their character through interaction, intuition, accumulated experience. That's heart knowledge, and it's often more reliable than abstract argumentation. The question Pascal forces, are you dismissing entire domains of truth because they don't fit one narrow method of verification? Our 8th revolutionary idea. Faith is a gift, but you can position yourself to receive it. Now, Pascal has this fascinating both and on belief. He says you can't force yourself to believe. It's a gift, grace, something that happens to you, but you can prepare the soil. How? By acting as if. Go to church, pray, read scripture, take the sacraments. This will make you believe naturally and will make you more docile. Modern people hear this and think it's fake, manipulative. But Pascal's getting at something psychologically profound. Belief isn't just intellectual assent. It's embedded in practices, communities, habits. You don't become a musician by studying music theory alone. You practice. The doing shapes the understanding. Similarly, you don't arrive at faith purely through argument. You inhabit a form of life, and the belief emerges from the living. Let's be honest for a second. This makes intellectual types uncomfortable. Isn't this just brainwashing yourself? Pascal would say, you're already being shaped by practices. The question is which ones. Your phone habits are forming you. Your entertainment choices are discipling you. Your friend group is catechizing you. At least religious practice is intentional formation toward acknowledged goods. Most formation is unconscious drift toward unexamined values. The question becomes, if you can't reason your way to certainty and if formation happens whether you choose it or not, what practices should you adopt? Now for our final category, exploring Pascal's revolutionary insights about existence itself. Revolutionary idea number 9. We need both mathematical precision and human wisdom. The spirit of geometry versus the spirit of finesse. Pascal distinguished two kinds of minds. The geometric spirit. precise, logical, step-by-step, excellent at math and formal reasoning. The spirit of finesse, intuitive, sees patterns, understands people in context, excellent at wisdom and discernment. Here's the paradox Pascal won't let us escape. We need both. Exclusively geometric minds becoming human calculators who miss what matters. Exclusively finesse minds become vague mystics who can't think clearly. The tragedy Pascal diagnosed. We're always elevating one over the other. The STEM person dismisses humanities as fuzzy thinking. The artist dismisses science as soulless mechanism. Both are crippled. Pascal himself embodied the integration. He proved theorems and wrote theology. He invented mechanical calculators and composed devastatingly beautiful prose. He saw that the highest human excellence requires both precision and wisdom. You felt this, even if you've never named it. That friend who's brilliant analytically but socially clueless. All geometry, no finesse. That other friend who's emotionally intelligent but can't think through a logical argument. All finesse, no geometry. That Pascal saying, cultivate both. Train the mathematical mind and the wise heart. Neither alone is sufficient for human flourishing. Here's why this matters for your actual life, not just in theory. Look at our polarized culture. One side worships data and expertise, dismissing tradition and wisdom. The other side elevates intuition and experience, dismissing rigorous analysis. Both are impoverished. Pascal is calling us to integrated thinking that honors precision where precision applies, and wisdom where wisdom applies, and the discernment to know which is which. Our 10th and final revolutionary idea. The infinite spaces between infinitely small and infinitely large, and why this should terrify and humble us. Let's end with Pascal's most cosmic insight, and the one that modern science has only confirmed. Pascal contemplated the scale of reality and saw something that shook him to his core. Look one direction, infinite space. Stars, galaxies, incomprehensible distances that make Earth a speck invisible in cosmic scale. Look the other direction, infinite divisibility. Atoms, particles, quantum foam, realities too small to see that undergird everything. We exist in this middle zone, between infinitely large and infinitely small. We're not at the center. We're not the measure. We're this bizarre intermediate thing, capable of contemplating both infinities without comprehending either. Pascal wrote, "The eternal silence of these infinite spaces frightens me." Now, here's what Pascal noticed that changes everything. This should produce profound humility. We're not God. We're not the universe. We're this strange consciousness arising in the middle of it all. Try and make sense of what we can barely perceive. Think about it this way. Pascal saw the same pattern 350 years ago that cosmology shows us today. We're on an average planet orbiting an average star in an average galaxy among billions. Nothing special physically, but we're the ones doing the observing, the measuring, the wondering. The paradox Pascal forces us to hold. Cosmically insignificant and existentially central. The universe is vast beyond comprehension, and yet consciousness emerges here to comprehend it. We're nothing special, and we're the most special thing we know of. This should terrify us. Our smallness, our fragility, our ignorance, and it should awe us. Our capacity to reach beyond ourselves, to touch truth, to create meaning in apparent meaninglessness. Pascal's cutting to the comfortable lie that we're either cosmic heroes or cosmic accidents. We're both and neither. We're thinking reads in infinite spaces, brave and terrified and magnificent and wretched. The question he leaves us, will you face this reality honestly or will you flee back to distraction? Now we've walked through 10 revolutionary ideas, but they're not disconnected insights. They form a unified vision of what it means to be human. Let me show you how they fit together. Notice the pattern. Pascal starts with psychological diagnosis. We can't sit still. We deceive ourselves. We desire infinitely. He moves to epistemological humility. We can't prove everything. We know through multiple faculties. And he ends with existential paradox. We're wretched and magnificent, small and significant. Each layer builds on the last. Why can't we sit still? Because silence forces us to face our condition. What condition? Our paradoxical existence. Limited creatures reaching for infinite truth. How do we handle that? Not through reason alone or emotion alone, but integrated thinking that honors both geometry and finesse. This isn't 17th century French Catholic weirdness. This is penetrating insight into human nature that explains your actual life. Let's be honest for a second. You experienced every single pattern Pascal describes. You felt the restlessness, the need for constant distraction. You've held contradictory beliefs without noticing. You've been absolutely certain you were right, then later realized you weren't. You've achieved what you wanted and felt empty afterward. You felt simultaneously worthless and valuable. You're making a bet about ultimate reality whether you admit it or not. You know things you can't prove: love, beauty, meaning. Your practices are shaping you right now. You need both precise thinking and human wisdom. You felt small under stars. Pascal isn't imposing foreign categories on you. He's naming what you've always experienced but never articulated. Here's what Pascal noticed that changes everything. We're walking contradictions. Animal and angel. Rational and intuitive. Finite and reaching for infinite. Wretched and magnificent. And most of our suffering comes from refusing to accept the paradox. We want to be purely rational, but we can't escape the heart's knowledge. We want to be purely free, but we're radically limited. We want to be self-sufficient, but we're needy creatures. We want certainty, but we're trapped in probability. Pascal's genius is refusing to resolve the tension. He holds the contradictions without collapsing them. And he's saying you have to do the same. Think about your life right now. How much energy are you spending trying to escape one side of paradox? Trying to prove you're significant when you feel small? Trying to convince yourself finite pleasures will satisfy infinite longing? Trying to distract yourself from questions that won't go away? Pascal's offering a different path. Face it, all of it, the wretchedness and the magnificence, the certainty you crave and the uncertainty you inhabit, the infinite desires and finite objects, the cosmic insignificance and existential meaning. Stop running. Sit in the quiet room. Let the question surface. Because here's Pascal's deepest insight, the one that unites all 10 ideas. The discomfort you feel when you stop distracting yourself isn't a problem solved. It's a message to hear. The restlessness might be telling you that you're made for more than finite goods. The inability to prove everything might be inviting you to trust beyond demonstration. The paradox of your existence might be revealing that you're caught between two infinities for a reason. You don't have to accept Pascal's theological answers, but you can't deny his psychological accuracy. He saw what we're doing, and why, and what it costs us. Now, you might object, this is too pessimistic, toxic negativity. Pascal would say, I'm not inflicting wounds. I'm diagnosing real pain. The wound is already there. Distraction just numbs it temporarily. The question isn't whether Pascal's dark. It's whether he's accurate. And if he is, if we really are fleeing ourselves, deceiving ourselves, trying to fill infinite longing with finite goods, then maybe his darkness is actually light, the light of honest diagnosis. Maybe the most compassionate thing anyone can do is stop lying to you about your condition. That's what Pascal offers. No sugarcoating, no comfortable lies, just penetrating vision into what we actually are. The question is, are you brave enough to look? So where does this leave you? If you stayed with me this far, something in Pascal's vision resonated, even if it disturbed you. Maybe especially because it disturbed you. Here's what we've discovered together. Blaise Pascal, the 17th century French genius who never saw a smartphone, somehow diagnosed a pathology of your daily existence. The endless scrolling, the Sunday scaries, the difficulty being alone with your thoughts, the achievement that didn't satisfy, the certainty that crumbled, the feeling of being both everything and nothing. He saw it all, not because he was psychic, but because human nature doesn't fundamentally change. The forms of distraction evolve, from gambling parlors to TikTok, but the flight remains the same. The questions we avoid are eternal. Why am I here? What happens when I die? Does anything matter? Am I loved? Pascal's 10 revolutionary ideas form a single devastating argument. You're running from yourself. You're lying to yourself. You're trying to satisfy infinite hunger with finite food. And deep down, you know it. Now you see human existence in a completely different way. That compulsive phone check isn't just a bad habit. It's divertisement, existential flight. That career dissatisfaction isn't just wrong job fit. It's finite goods failing to fill infinite desire. That intellectual certainty isn't just confidence. It's hubris forgetting your limited perspective. Pascal has given you new vocabulary for experiences you've always had. And vocabulary is power. You can't address what you can't name. But here's the crucial part. Pascal doesn't leave you in despair. Yes, he's brutally honest about human wretchedness, but he's equally insistent on human magnificence. You're a thinking reed. Fragile, yes. Mortal, yes. But capable of contemplating infinity. Choosing love. Seeking truth. The paradox isn't a problem. It's the human condition. And living honestly means embracing both sides. The smallness and the significance. The wretchedness and the grandeur. Pascal's vision is dark, but it's not pessimistic. It's realistic, and reality, unflinchingly acknowledged, is the only foundation for authentic living. You can go back to comfortable self-deception. Most people do. Pascal understands. Facing this is hard. The quiet room is terrifying. The questions are overwhelming. The uncertainty is uncomfortable. But you can't unknow what you now know. Pascal has shown you the patterns. The flight, the void beneath the distraction, the bet you're already making. The only question is, what will you do with this knowledge? From now on, when you find yourself reaching for your phone out of boredom, you'll remember that Pascal taught us this is divertisement, and you'll pause and ask, what am I avoiding right now? You don't need to become a monk. You just need to remember this. The discomfort that drives you to distraction is a messenger, not an enemy. It's pointing you toward questions worth asking. In the coming weeks, try Pascal's quiet room experiment, not once, but regularly. Monday nights. No phone, no TV, no music. Just 30 minutes alone with your thoughts. Observe what happens. The anxiety that surfaces, that's the void Pascal diagnosed. The questions that emerge, those are the ones you've been fleeing. The restlessness you feel, that's proof of your infinite desire. You'll see that these principles transform how you make decisions. The next time you're chasing a goal, ask yourself, am I expecting a finite good to provide infinite satisfaction? What's a realistic expectation here? When you're absolutely certain you're right in an argument, remember, I'm seeing from my limited perspective. What might I be missing? When you feel cosmically insignificant, recall, I'm a thinking reed, physically small, mentally vast. And when someone demands you prove what you know in your heart about love, beauty, meaning, goodness, you can say, the heart has reasons that reason doesn't know. Not everything worth knowing comes through geometric proof. Pascal won't make your life easier. He'll make it more honest. And honesty, though painful initially, is the only path to authentic peace. The bet you're making with your time, your choices, your life will become visible to you. And once you see it, you can't pretend you're not choosing. Choose wisely. You only get one wager. There's a phrase from Pascal I can't forget. The eternal silence of these infinite spaces frightens me. Do you feel the weight of that truth? Do you recognize how it changes everything? He's not talking about generic cosmic anxiety. He's naming the specific terror of consciousness arising in a vast, silent universe, aware of its smallness, reaching for meaning anyway. That's you. That's all of us. Imagine your life 6 months after applying Pascal's revolutionary ideas. You won't be perfect. Pascal never promised perfection. He promised clear sight. You'll be more aware of your flight patterns. You'll catch yourself reaching for distraction and ask what you're avoiding. You'll hold your certainties more lightly, knowing your limited perspective. And when you feel that existential restlessness, you'll recognize it not as a problem, but as a clue. You're made for more than finite goods can provide. You'll see yourself in others with devastating clarity. The colleague who can't stop talking about their achievements, fleeing insignificance. The friend who's always in a relationship, fleeing aloneness. The culture that offers infinite entertainment, industrialized advertisement. And when you sit in that quiet room, facing the questions Pascal knew you'd find there, you'll be brave enough not to run. This channel exists to discover together the wisdom of thinkers like Pascal, people who refuse to lie about the human condition, who saw clearly what we're desperate to avoid. Subscribe if you want to continue this journey of uncomfortable honesty. In the next video, we'll explore Kierkegaard's terrifying insight about how we become ourselves through anxiety and despair. See you there. And meanwhile, may you find the courage to sit in silence and listen to what you discover.